Hey, it's been about a week since I made my last video and a week since I hurt my shoulder. Turns out I went to the doctor. He said I didn't tear the muscle, but I think I might have torn. He didn't check it very well. He just checked my range of motion and stuff, which I was kind of ticked off about. But I think I might have slightly torn my tendon a little bit, but it seems to be getting better. It kind of sutured itself back up. It's feeling good. So in the last week I was kind of thinking more about lower body exercises. And it's going to take a couple weeks to heal this, and I didn't want to do anything that will risk hurting it more, even though I did do some things, which might have been bad, but it's okay so far. But I was thinking, one thing in particular I was thinking about and doing was squats and back squats in particular. And I had been reading up on the internet there was some kind of discussion, some debates about what the right kind of technique for back squats are. Some people say back squatting, or particularly with the feet and leg position. Most people like toes out at a 30 degree angle or 40 degree angle maybe, with a kind of a wider stance, or maybe even narrow stance. And other people there's kind of a minority that like toes pointed forward with a fairly narrow stance, feet underneath your shoulders, or maybe a little bit narrower depending on how broad your shoulders are. Freaking huge. But the personal trainer certification that I have, it says to do toes pointing forward. And when I started working out this last time, that's how I've been doing it so far. And so I was able to, for a lot of people, doing toes forward is awkward because they're not really used to it. But what I did was I was doing it the whole time. When I started light, when I was weak still, and I focused on just keeping my toes forward and also going low, having my hamstrings lay against my calves pretty much. And you can go pretty low. You can't go quite as low as toes out with toes forward, but you can still go low enough. But the reason why the NASM, my certification, says to do toes forward, they didn't give that much of an explanation, but they basically just said that it's more power. It takes having toes out takes away power, and to me it kind of seems true, but to me there's a better reason to do toes forward than out, or multiple reasons. And this is for back squats in particular, but there are also other kinds of squats. You can't really do toes forward with front squats, and a lot of times when you do squat cleans, you're probably gonna have to have toes out too. But perhaps overhead squats, though, I think if you're trying to go for weight, having toes out is a lot easier at least. And thrusters, you seem to be able to, I seem to be able to do them with toes forward, since you don't typically go as heavy weights when you do thrusters. But the reason why I think toes forward are better is, you can just do this with me right now. If you want to just stand up and point your toes out at a 45 degree angle, or a 30 degree angle, 30 to 45 degree angle, and just kind of how your most relaxed kind of stance, and pay attention to the position of your core, your stomach, not your core, your stomach and your back, your lower back. And then now stand up with toes straight, and then take into account and relax yourself and feel where your core and your stomach and your lower back is. And you'll notice that your lower back is less arched, probably for 100% of you and me, probably for everyone. Your lower back is less arched, your stomach sticks out less. And I'm not exactly sure, what the mechanics of this is, but toes forward I know activates your gluteus minimus and medius more, rather than just your major. And it seems to it creates a chain effect. So your posture starts all the way down at your feet, to me. It creates a chain effect that if you feel the bottom sides of your back, you notice that area where guys tend to, it's hard for guys to lose fat on the lower sides of your back. That area is tightens up more when you have your toes straighter. And I'm not exactly sure why, but you definitely stand up straighter. And when you do squats, when you do back squats in particular, you're having your toes straight definitely keeps your back straighter, so that you don't kind of lean over and round forward and your back doesn't, you know, contort. I know this is true not just for myself, because there was a time where I kind of slipped up on my form and it was harder, and it felt really bad, and then I remembered, oh yeah, toe straight, and then it just magically just felt better, felt more powerful, probably because I was getting more used to doing it that way. But also I told just some guy that I met at the gym, and told him to start trying. I just saw him and he was had his toes out. I told him to try with his toes forward, and automatically I saw he's kind of a newbie. It seemed like it, and automatically his back just straightened out magically, miraculously, or not miraculously, but it was way straighter than when he started. His lower back was kind of arched, and his thoracic spine was kind of hunched over too, and he was leaning forward a lot. So I think the application of this, I think toes out and a wider stance is more stable stance. It's a more stand your ground kind of stance for warriors, say. It's a warrior stance. It's more rooted and foundational. It's a lower stance. Lowers your center of gravity, and it supports you better. And the toes forward is more of like a scout stance. It's more power. It's more power and mobility and speed. So if you're a runner, if you're a sprinter, if you do any kind of sport or function, or you want to function, and be able to push yourself off forward in a forward direction, a single direction better, then having your toes forward is a lot better, because just walk. So we did the standing thing, toes forward, toes out, and just walk with your toes out. And you'll notice that you'll sway back and forth a lot. Rather with your toes forward, you'll go straighter, and your toe flexion, your foot flexion, your plantar flexion, flexing your toe down, pushing your feet down, it'll propel you in a forward direction rather than pushing you side to side. And you can see this in male supermodels, like when they go down the runway, or male or female, but especially military guys. They always walk, both models and military, they walk with their toes straight up. They stand with their toes straight, keeping themselves straight up, because they have some place to go quickly. They have shit to do. They're going somewhere. And so it's not only more aesthetically pleasing, but it's functional as well. So when you do back squats with your toes straight, you have a lot more power, a lot more speed and mobility. So it's definitely more functional if you're, depending on or whether or not you'll be able to lift heavier doing toes forward rather than toes out is maybe not. This depends on if you're used to it or not, but seems like a lot of professional powerlifters and weightlifters, they do toes out. But if you're not a professional powerlifter or weightlifter, if you're a functional guy or everyday guy, if you're an athlete, and who really gives a damn how much weight you could squat? That's not what's important. What's important is your functional or even your aesthetic if you're a bodybuilder. Though I don't know how it looks, how the muscles look. I know it definitely works your whole glute more, not instead of just your maximus. But for everyone else besides weightlifters and powerlifters, then I think it's pretty hands down that toes forward will be a lot more functional, more powerful. So I've been doing that, and I've been running too a lot, and I've felt because I'm making good progress, but I felt even with my run, having the triple extension, the hip extension, the knee extension, and the plantar flexion, the ankle extension, having all three of them, when you push off straight and more powerful, it definitely increases your speed, your gait. So that's what I've noticed, a difference between when I'm working out now and when I was working out before. So I guess it's my opinion, but NASM says it's backed up by science. Even so if you're a football player or something, or even a hockey player or something, when you actually are going to be standing with your toes out a lot, you're already going to be doing toes out stances a lot. So you probably might as well squat with your toes forward, just to strengthen that, since you're so you don't pattern overload yourself, and you don't just focus on the same kind of movements all the time. But besides that, yeah, no one really gives a damn how much you can squat. So you should probably do the more functional thing rather than the just see how much weight you can put up that no one cares about. So that's my opinion. I gotta think of some kind of closing. Closing remark. Maybe you guys can help me out with that. I'll come up with something. But thanks for watching. Another video will come up whenever I think of talking about something. See you next time.